correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPGs, a podcast where me and my friend Steve...
We're playing games this time.
Alright, so we find ourselves in the tavern of Barney's in the Comet's Tail. You are having your midday meal, and you're sitting at a table with this ancient dwarf. So old, you almost can't tell any features except for eyebrows that are kind of braided down into this beard. No one really knows what this dwarf does on the Comet's Tail. They just kind of pop up periodically. They're often giving advice or telling a story that seems really fantastical, and then they kind of disappear, but they've been here longer than anyone else knows. And the dwarf is sitting over this big bowl of Barney's stew and is eating it while telling you guys a story. Once, when the Herald still led people, there was Talania, a celestial knight of Mykur, the celestial dragon, the dragon of crystal unmoving, a dependable of the gods, the god of justice. She started receiving visions of a dark tide swarming the celeste tree, smothering its light and consuming its radiance, its magic. To prevent this blight, Talania rallied many to her banner, uniting, fortifying, giving the world focus to repel the coming horde. However, it wasn't long before many feared this power that Talania rallied in the name of Mykur. For even gods are not immune to jealousy. And that's when... And suddenly you hear a bell on the deck just wailing, and it is the bell saying, "Come to arms." So you all would know on the ship that this happens when you've stumbled onto prey. As a privateer, you are actively searching for ships, merchant ships, of the other nationalities, of the other nations in this world. So you see this old dwarf go, "Oh, well, guess we'll finish the story later," and shoves in their stew and then takes off somewhere to do something. You all would know that as kind of the elite force of the ship, you'd be going to the captain or the XO typically to get assignments. Some of you might be doing specific things based off of your ship tasks and responsibilities. So what do you guys do as this call to stations goes up?
Taking off towards wherever the captain or the first mate is.
So you make your way up onto deck. Basically, the captain and the XO are stationed way at the front with the pilot, where they have better vision. You know, there's big crystals that have nets going out from them on the side of your ship. That's your propulsion. The lift crystals engineering room are down inside. People are getting guns ready. You see some of the other flyers starting to prep their animals for them to potentially start doing screening actions or harassing actions. And so you make your way through the ship. You guys are all very talented at navigating your way through a ship coming to arms. And you find the captain standing on their kind of console with a spyglass looking down when you approach. And he's talking to the XO and the pilot as this happens.
I wait. Oh, yeah, wait orders.
Right. What's the name of your squad?
We didn't get that, Hagan.
You said those guys. I'll bet money.
Oh,
Those guys. That squad.
I can't wait till you make shirts. All right. Good. You're all here. Right. I'm glad you're all here. So Callister is a human standing, very proper ex-military posture. They're middle-aged, but don't really wear it on their face. Pristine hat, everything is perfect, standing at very rigid attention, has the special belt that basically all aeronauts are going to be wearing that help anchor you to the ship during maneuvers, This guy looks like he should be in the military, but isn't. And right. So we spotted an Antilles heavy cruiser, and it's under heavy attack from some Karlax ships. We're gonna have to protect that Antilles ship. We're flying their colors. We gotta intervene. It looks like there's 2 destroyers currently attacking, and it looks like one destroyer maybe's crashed onto the heavy cruiser, and there's a battle going on the ship. I need you guys to get onto the heavy cruiser. How you do your thing. We're gonna take care of these other ships. Can you do that?
Well, I suppose we can do it. We've gone on Stichios situations.
Perfect. And he gestures down, and you guys can see way below you that there is this heavy cruiser that really should be able to take on at least 2, but probably not 3 destroyers by itself, and it's just blitzing away. And you see it looks like there's one destroyer that's crashed into it, and there is a battle going on the deck from that, and there's 2 other there's 2 other destroyers flying Karlax colors that's currently harassing the heavy cruiser, and it does look like the heavy cruiser is slowly losing this battle. There are a bunch of flyers kind of like in dogfights all around the ships, but you can see that the Antilles ship is just basically getting overwhelmed and isn't going to survive much longer. So the captain is asking you to get from your ship that's up high onto the deck of this ship that's down below you while they move to engage the 2 remaining destroyers.
Sarder and I will evaluate the best plan of action.
Perfect. It's going to take us about 10-15 minutes to get into position before we execute a combat dive. I need you on the ship at that point. So whatever you need to do, make it happen. And with that, he gives you a salute and turns back to kind of yelling orders to the crew, getting the ship prepared to enter into combat. So how do you guys want to get from this ship down onto the other ship?
I got a flying bat, so that's easy for me.
So I feel like
that was a big screw you guys.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Screw you.
I feel like this is not an unfamiliar type of operation to us.
Yep.
So I feel like perhaps Karlax has developed some sort of, like you had mentioned, we might have like ballista type things on the ship.
Sure.
Or so some sort of like combination harpoon zipline type thing.
Okay.
I thought you said you were going to be fired out of those cannons.
I was a little worried too. So the only problem with that, Steve, is the ship is going to be maneuvering. So the ship that you are trying to anchor from and to is going to be dropping out of the sky to engage in combat.
Wingsuits.
We could do wingsuits. Yeah.
Yep.
Or we could do some levitation crystals.
Well,
those would be probably in the wingsuit, but yeah.
Idea I blatantly steal from ER is the featherfall rings that they used as parachutes.
Sure.
How hard a roll would it be for an augment to make us able to glide?
So the problem with magic is you have to add the addition of multiple targets, and then you have to trigger it multiple times. So you'd have to roll multiple advantages to trigger it a lot. So in order to fly, that's often a hard check to be able to target multiple people. That's going to make it into 5 purple, and then you have to trigger multiple advantages. But you definitely, because right now there's only the 4 of you who need a way onto the ship. You theoretically could transform yourself and give yourself wings or augment. So you maybe could get a second person.
I mean, there's 2 gnomes, don't they count as one? They're little.
They just strapped to people's backs.
Yeah. I don't know if I can take one on Zarda.
Sure. Yeah, I think you could. I think you'll have a setback for maneuvers because it's like having someone on the back of a motorcycle. But definitely, I think that's viable. Would either gnome want to go on this guy's bat with him?
Sure.
All right.
Oh,
no, go for it. You're braver than I am.
So I have revised my
I don't know if that's
zipline
it.
idea. instead of just a harpoon rope thing, it's more of there's a pedestal, and Karlax gets out this special like crossbow harpoon thing. It shoots the harpoon, but then like retracts, like motorized pulls itself along the rope, like a
the
Batman.
harpoon hits, and
Like a
then
hook shot?
then it pulls you in.
Yes,
Got it. Okay.
like a Batman thing.
Got it. Okay, so this is a really far shot, so you are gonna have to hit this. But yeah, we definitely can say that that's a thing. So who's going on that approach?
Do you want to go on the bat? I'll go on the
Come on.
Doom ride.
Kulweg doesn't like any of these options.
Cool's
Like-
flying. You can chill.
Kulweg is trying to figure out how he can make some sort of flying potion for himself.
Oh yeah, I bet he would have something like that. Why don't you give me? Do you have alchemy as a skill?
Let me look here.
You have runic. As
I do have
skill.
a point in alchemy.
So I think we have two options. Option one is we can have you do an alchemy roll to see if you, because you're on a ship, you probably would have prepared something like this previously, or typically a rune caster like what you are would have a rune for them to cast through, so you could also cast magic too.
I feel like he's maybe more of an alchemist than he is a rune caster.
Cool. All right. Well, say this is something you've previously prepared. So I'm going to let you take 2 boost die and go ahead and make me a hard roll. And the thing is, you're not going to have a sense of how the potion is going to work until you drink it.
All right.
You will probably fly. Whether or not you can decide how you fly is a whole nother question.
So I have 1 rank in that, so that would be
what is your int?
my int is 3.
Perfect. So it's going to be 1 yellow, 2 green, 2 blue, and then 3 red.
3 red. All right. Oh,
3
God.
red or 3 purple?
3 purple. My bad. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I was like 3
I am
threats
not-
in a despair. No.
Wow, I'm not that evil. Thank you for catching that one. I
All right,
was
let's roll that.
very much thinking of the cider I'm drinking right there.
So 4 success and a threat. And I
Perfect.
think he's gonna. So he has to describe Kulweg a little bit. Very dapper man, curled mustache, hat, tilted brim, and just a barrel of something strapped to his back. And that's his like backpack / alchemist kit. And he just gets like swings it around to his front, digs through it real quick, pulls out the little ball vial, pops the cork off the top, and then straight to the dome.
Love it. Yeah, so your potion is going to help you free fall towards the ship and hit it. How is this potion doing that? Is this like letting you grow wings? Are you just kind of floaty? Are you just like becoming a wind?
I feel like the potion. I'm trying to think how I want to do that.
If you want, you take a moment. I can move on.
Yeah, go ahead and move on. We'll come back and describe how
Perfect.
he's getting down there.
Love it. Groth, how are you going to get down there?
I'm going to try to cast an augment on myself. Would it be easier to do it like giving myself some sort of like webbing or something to, catch that, or to just like give the ability to fly and something?
So those are kind of 2 different things. The ability to fly is more difficult. But your character can actually do something called transform, which is a skill unique to just primal. So why don't we say that that's what you're doing? Because I'll then let you fly.
Yes.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah. I'm
cool.
looking for I know I have a Genesys dice app.
So while you're doing that, I have to look up transform because I don't remember that spell off the top of my head.
And while you look that up, I'll go ahead. I thought about it a little bit. I'll describe Kulweg's little situation.
Perfect. So basically what's going to happen is you guys are going to all launch yourself over the side of the ship at the same time. So what do we see Kulweg doing?
I think standing on the deck of the ship, you see sort of the wind pick him up like on his back, and he's very unstable. It's like a little mini tornado that like picks him up and then drops him, and he lands like very unsure of himself on the deck of the other ship.
Love that. So this is a pretty big fall. So I think your character's like, oh, like in this like tumble thing all the way down.
Yeah.
But I think so you're going to be a little disoriented when you hit because of your threat. But that's also going to kind of like disorient the melee that's going on around you when you hit. So let's see. So for your dice roll, it's going to be a hard check to transform into something that you can fly with. So that's going to be a primal hard. So let's hop over to Karlax. Karlax is firing this rig. Karlax, what is you're going to have to make me a ranged skill check to try to hit this ship.
Mhm.
You're currently out at least long range. So that is going to be a hard check, which is 3 purple. And I'm going to say you've probably done this before, so I'll give you a boost die, but you're also going to get a setback because it's really freaking far, and this baluster has to like drag you behind it.
Mhm. Well, I'm also trying to hit the deck of a ship.
Sure, but this thing is over a football field. It's multiple football fields below you. Like you guys are not close. Think of this like in fighter planes. Like you might be a mile above it. So that's not the biggest target.
No.
How about you invented a device that fires you, not a baluster, since you're basically crystal?
Just become the cannonball.
Be the ball. Your nickname is now the ball.
Okay, so let's say I had invented what that still doesn't. I don't know. Screw it. I'm just going to roll it. For failure.
All right. So you are going way off target. Eric.
Yeah.
Do you want to make me a ride check to see how well you're able to navigate down to the ship that's in the middle of this melee combat and everything?
I do.
It's gonna probably an average check with a setback, unless Barney can describe how he is helping you navigate this aerial melee dogfight.
That's a good question.
And does anyone want to try to save Karlax?
Well,
That is way off course now.
Well, the thing is, if it didn't hit anything, theoretically, it would just come back. But what if he accidentally hit the wrong ship?
Oh no.
Sir, you failed. I get to choose what happens to you now. I am letting one of your friends decide if they're going to try to save your ass since you just shot yourself out into space.
I am going to try to swoop in with Zarda and have Zarda grab him with her feet.
Then let's upgrade your difficulty by 1.
Sounds good.
I don't think there's any way I can help with the roll.
Well, let's think. Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, you could have prepared yourself with a rope to make sure you stay on the saddle.
Yeah. So I have extra rope I can toss at him.
Or, are you like keeping an eye out? Do you get to make a perception roll so you're better able to help guide?
Actually, I could probably do a perception roll.
Prangalar, or is your character like trying to figure out how to navigate this? Like, there's a lot of ways that your character can be contributing in this moment.
I'll go ahead and I'll just do a perception roll. Keep an eye out. Keep lookout.
Perfect. Let's make that an average check, but let's take a setback because you are strapped to the back of this bat that is just flying evasive maneuvers.
Setback, and with no points, it's just 4 little die.
Green die. Yep.
4 green die, 1 black die.
4 green die, 2 purple die, 1 black die.
Oh, 2 purple die. Okay.
Average difficulty.
2 purple, 1 black. There we go. Oh no. I think I got a failure there. One single failure out of all of it.
Nice. Yeah, so you are just overwhelmed. You don't fly on bats well. Cool. So yeah,
because I was afraid he was going to eat me the first time I met the damn thing.
100%. And you're trying to keep your fancy clothes all pristine despite this combat that you guys are flying through.
Right.
Cool. All right, Prang, let's see what your role is.
All right. So I'm actually diverting course to try to pick up Karlax.
Correct. That's the upgrade from.
Yep.
So it's 1 red, 1 purple. If you succeed, you're grabbing him and still getting towards the other ship.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I do not, but I have 1 advantage. 2 failures, 1 advantage. I'm sorry, 1 failure, 1 advantage.
Cool. Unless you have a specific thing, I'm going to say that you're able to grab Karlax, but you're kind of caught in this aerial melee that is going on between the 2 ships' flyers, so you're having trouble getting to the ship.
Okay.
All right. So just to clarify, your ship, the Comet's Trail, about a mile above this ship combat with dogfights, you 2 of you launched off on a bat, plummeted down, saw one of your members was just going to the middle of nowhere, have managed to grab him. Is he hanging upside down? Is he by his arms? Like how'd you guys grab
By his
Karlax?
feet.
Love it. So Karlax is now dangling upside down from this bat. You've got Barney on the back who's trying not to vomit into a bag. And there's all these like combat going around you. Magic's flying. There's tons of bows, arrows, melee combats happening all around you as you're trying to navigate down to the deck of the Antilles ship where there is a giant scrum of a melee going on. Unfortunately, Kulweg is the only one that seems to have made it successfully to the deck, though I don't remember what Groth's dice roll was. So this hurricane that's just encompassed this gnome, and it's created enough turbulence around it that none of the flyers can get close to it. So it kind of falls down, pushing everyone away, lands in the middle of the ship, creates this area around them. Are you in like a superhero landing, or how does your character land?
He falls flat on his ass.
Love it. Love it.
Is he still spinning on the deck?
Yes, he spins
Spinning
to a
on his
halt.
backpack.
Oh
Just like-
man, what about this? He spins like right to the edge of the deck of this ship and is like half dangling off and is like grabbing for anything he can get a hold of.
Love it. Love it. I think that totally happens. Fortunately, it's kind of blown the melee around you away from you a little bit, but suddenly there's just this random gnome that's just like hanging off the side of the ship.
I was downloading the app. I got it downloaded. I need to see difficulty. I was just figuring I'd probably transform into something like a hawk.
3 purple.
So that is 1 advantage.
What a failure.
And 2 failure.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on, before I had the purples, I was on 2 advantage, 3 success, and then I got 5 X's.
Yeah, so unfortunately, as you go to throw yourself off the deck after casting the spell on yourself, you only partially transform. So right now you only have wings that are almost able to support you. So you're kind of more just like gliding down towards the ship. So why don't you go ahead and make me a coordination check to see whether or not you can hit the ship or not.
Okay.
And don't forget that spells cost strain to cast. 2 strain.
Did you give yourself vestigial wings?
I can't wait for him to try to do
I was
combat with these things.
Not intentional.
He's just gonna beat him to death with him.
this giant orc with just like feather wings.
Please tell me they're ostrich wings.
They're actually peacock wings, so there's just this beautiful plumage.
So what would you want me to roll for coordination?
Let's do an average, but with 2 setback because you don't know how to fly.
You got chicken wings.
Right, but using what is the base for my roll?
Coordination, agility.
Okay, there we go.
Unless your athletics is higher, then you could talk me into athletics. Because I want you to land on the ship. I'm trying to get you to this ship.
I don't know about that, Ben. So far, I've not heard any compelling arguments for why we should be on the ship.
Right. So
It says the only guy on the ship. I just want to put that one out there. Just throw that there.
so
Yeah,
Dylan
Kulweg
is
does
gonna-
not
gonna
want to be
roll-
here alone. He very much does not like this situation.
Oh, I think I forgot to tell you, Steve. So you're a privateer working for Antilles, the Isles of
okay.
Antilles. So these are your friends that you're trying to save. That's why
okay. He's better now. All right.
I
thought...
love that you YOLO'd onto the ship for not knowing that detail, though. That is commitment.
Well, he watched his other friends. He's like, well, I don't want to be here alone either. So
Fair enough. Cool. Did you succeed or fail, Groth?
This is agility plus what? Or just agility?
Average, so 2 purples. But you also have no idea how to do what you're doing, so we're gonna give you 2 setback.
Okay,
Plus
so
you're flying.
2 green, 2 purple, 2 black.
Yeah, why don't you use a story point? You guys will be down to 4 story points to upgrade one of those
That sounds
greens
good.
to a yellow.
Sounds good.
And while he is rolling that, Karlax, Barney, and Prang, what are you guys doing?
I'm trying to now make my way through this combat and to drop everybody off on the ship.
Gotcha.
And I'm trying to
So-
make sure we don't die while doing it.
How are you doing that? So you guys are like, now there's aerial combat all around you, magic, conventional weapons, melee, jousting, like whatever you can think of. They're basically doing that, but on different types of birds, reptiles, etc.
Question: I had an advantage on that previous. Can I use that advantage to add a boost die to this roll?
Sure. I was using that advantage to give you this roll, but we can give it to you. I want you to get on the ship. I don't want our scholar to be the only one on the ship by themselves.
The blue roll blank, so I'm currently sitting at 1 failure.
Perfect. So you go ahead.
Oh, can we barrel of monkeys this? I'm gonna fly Karlax that's dangling to go grab Groth.
And then you just take this giant chain of people to save.
All right.
I've played enough games with Eric to know that that's a deadly statement.
How strong is this bat? Like, it's just now like carrying 4 people, where before we were saying like 1.5 was kind of it.
Well, we're sure about to find out, aren't we?
It can glide still, right?
All right.
It's more of a directed fall at this point, I think.
I mean, it's wing
Falling
snap
is-
at a certain point. I'm just gonna put that out there. Cool. So, I need to know what Barney and Karlax are gonna do to help make this stupid roll possible for Prang.
And I'm shouting. So I'm shouting at Barney, lower the rope so Karlax can give it to Groth, so that way you can hang off of it. And you got to hold that, Karlax, and we're going to get this done. You're all going to be on the ship. It's going to be awesome. And we don't want to leave Kulweg by himself because he looks like he's getting pretty lonely down there.
I would like
And he's
to
just-
roll cool to keep myself from freaking out and like keep in the zone, like do exactly what he said,
Yeah, so I think unfortunately a fireball like explodes right in front of you guys, startling you, and you realize you've picked up a couple of Caleras flyers that are trailing you. So I think a cool check would be very appropriate to see if you're able to follow through with those recommendations.
Yeah, and
Do
what am I
any of
rolling
you guys
again?
have weapons?
I have a bow.
I got a bow too, but I'm flying.
Okay, then
I do,
Barney
but
could have been. Barney probably should have been shooting throughout this process.
Oh, yeah, I could have, couldn't I?
Yeah, that probably would have been helpful. You know, also would have been helpful is tying the rope to an arrow and shooting the arrow to someone.
Oh,
You know,
That's okay.
haven't you ever seen Mulan? Come on.
I was thinking about trying to shoot Grom, but with my thingy.
Mulan is reference we understand.
I know it's from your time era. But Terry's younger than us, so he probably missed out. He probably saw the live action where they didn't do that.
I had Mulan on VHS, man. I'm not that young.
I know, I'm teasing you.
I'm not that young.
Cool. So, Karlax or Barney, what are you guys doing?
I guess I'll do that cool roll to, get ready to toss it at him once we get close enough.
Sounds good.
Like lasso him around the waist.
So throwing it to him is different than maintaining your composure.
Ah, right. That's what I said, to prepare myself to keep ready.
So there isn't really a preparing at this point. So what are you doing? Sitting there and saying, I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected, isn't going to do a ton to help the situation. It is going to help you keep from panicking, though. So what's something active that you can do in this moment while we have Prang maneuvering this bat through this melee while you guys are being chased by a couple of Kalaris flyers? What does your character do? What is your character good at?
Kind of ranged but mostly presence, cunning, and agility are my top 3.
Sure. What are your skills? Those are just characteristics. That's not what your character is. That's not what your character does.
I currently have points in cool, ranged, charm, deception, skullduggery, stealth, and streetwise.
Yeah, so ranged, to try to keep these flyers off your tail, to give Prong space to do this instead of having to constantly dodge attacks. Skullduggery. Do you want to do some shady shit to try to like mess up the people behind you? Maybe
better. That sounds like something I want to do, because I do have torches.
Well, what's your Nomus ability again that costs a story point?
Oh, I can just pull random objects.
Object per session.
A object per session, yeah. Okay, I'll do. I see where you're going with this, and I like it. Can I pull out some sort of grenade out of my pocket and just toss it backwards at one of the fellers chasing us? Some kind of explosive. All right.
I don't think you know what the explosive is. We'll see how many advantages you roll, and that'll help determine how beneficial it is or not. Otherwise, I have a randomized potion table or a item table, and it might just randomly do something. So you are going to be making a ranged attack for me. Mm-hmm. It is going to be a average or 2 purple difficulty due to the range. Since they're following right behind you, I'm just going to say you get a boost die because you literally are just kind of like having to like throw it over your shoulder at them.
Okay. So average, let's see, ranged attack move with 2 purple and 1 more blue?
Yes.
Cool. 2 successes and 1 threat.
Ooh, okay. So the grenade goes flying backwards, and it is going to explode into basically like one of those, the color runs where they get hit by all the different like colored paint stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this grenade goes flying backwards. It's like, look, it's perfectly thrown, pop, and just this giant explosion of colored paint hits everything. You've soaked them. You soaked their birds, and you can see that they're just startled by this sudden eruption of paint all over them. And that's definitely going to mess up whatever they were doing. Karlax, what are you doing upside down from a bat about 2 miles above the ground?
Okay, so we're trying to maneuver into position for me to catch Groth, correct?
Correct.
That's the goal.
Or you maybe want to get to the ship so that they can better maneuver to get Groth. I think that's another valid option.
Fly over the ship and drop you.
So I feel like I can't really control where we fly. So I think.
So I don't know why that matters.
Well, we were talking about trying to maneuver over top of the ship to drop.
Maybe you can swing over the ship so I can let go.
Maybe you're flying by the ship. Maybe you're going to pull a Marvel and you're going to hop from your bird, run across a couple other birds, and jump onto the ship.
See, I was actually thinking something crazy like that.
I mean,
do you want me to have? I can have Zarda try to fling you up onto another bird.
Yeah, I think let's do something like that, like an
just
athletic.
take out a Claris flyer.
Yeah, just sort of, land behind him and just yeet him out into the nowhere.
Perfect. Let's make an athletic check.
Okay.
And what's the name of your bat?
Zarda, Zarda.
And Zarda is going to be able to give you 2 boost die to help you facilitate this.
Okay.
This is going to be a hard check. You're basically trying to get thrown through the air, land on a Claris flyer, and take out the pilot all in one go. So 3 purple.
Anyone object if I spend a story point to upgrade this?
No, go ahead.
Just to be clear, if your coordination is better than your athletics, I'd also let you make that roll.
It is not.
I was already trying to help you out.
On the plus side, it won't take that long to make new characters.
I mean, Steve is the one that's being successful right now. He's good. Speaking of which, Steve, what are you doing on the ship besides almost falling off?
I think he is going to now bear with me here because maybe we can make this work. My whole idea for this character is that he mostly relies on his alchemical concoctions in combat or anything. And so I imagine he is throwing some type of what he thinks is maybe a sticky trap down onto the ground to try and stop some of the encroaching forces or make it easier to subdue them.
Cool. Yeah, 100%. So we will probably figure out how we want to handle this mechanically, just because the idea of your character having infinite potions to throw.
Right, I understand.
But,
so if that means that I have to take...
For the nature of this intro mission, we are letting you guys explore and have fun with your characters and do cool stuff. I think if you roll a threat or a despair or something, something weird's going to happen with the potion. But I think your character right now definitely has a supply, almost like grenades, basically, of potions that they're pulling out and are just throwing. So as your character gets to their feet and is on the deck and looks around, what you're seeing is this Claris destroyer. Looks like it just kind of rammed this Antilles heavy cruiser, and basically all the crew flooded off. And now there's just this melee happening on the Antilles ship. There's less Antilles fighting because more of them are having to still fly their ship. And kind of at the center of this, you see 2 people that are in Calaris Inquisitor garb.
Okay.
So Steve, I don't think I told you that, or you were around for this, but basically Calaris is a religious zealot faction. So basically coming out of the Prophet Wars, they basically took it on as their duty to make sure no one ever did what the Prophet accomplished. So they're basically trying to eradicate anyone that thinks they can talk to or is the Celestial Dragons or is a herald for one. And they're still trying to hunt down all of the Prophet's supporters because they haven't been eliminated. They've just been disbanded. And so their military, their higher ups are church in nature, and they are the Inquisition, and they're basically very fanatical and aggressive. And you see 2 people garbed as inquisitors, basically in the middle of this fight, with bunches kind of minion soldiers all around them, fighting a bunch of Antilles heroes. There is a elf in just this beautiful, elaborate armor with this blazing sword that is fighting just a bunch of people to a standstill. There's this cat archer that's in the background. There's magic flying between each other. It's this big battle basically happening. And so what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to influence how this kind of mass combat is going. So I'm going to be making a roll periodically to see how the melee is going on the ship. So you can attack minions on the Calaris side to potentially hinder them so that the Antilles have more of a chance. You can try to go after these Inquisitors that are going to be a little bit more of a big bad type battle, which would also help the Antilles. Or you can augment and support the Antilles fighters, which would also ultimately help the dice rolls in the long term.
I think...
Does that all make sense first off? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I just dumped a lot on you, so I want to make sure.
You're good. I think his main go-to is going to be trying to slow or halt these inquisitors. I think he identifies them as valuable targets.
Love it. All right. So one inquisitor is holding basically like a flail, and you can kind of see a crystal in it, and there's like the smoky kind of ilky incense is coming out, and they're casting spells with this flail while also just beating the crap out of people with this flail. You recognize them basically doing a runic type magic. And then the other is this just very pristine, very regal looking orc. This is clearly the leader of the Inquisitors who's holding a staff and is periodically just kind of throwing these giant spells into the group of Antilles. And you see it takes multiple Antilles to counter these spells, and they're slowly kind of getting depleted in their ability to stop the magic this guy's throwing around.
Okay, so he is a number one target.
If you draw his attention, you are going to want your friends with you. Yes.
Okay. Well,
do it.
Yeah,
do it.
We're just gonna, because Kulweg is scared of many things, but people not so much.
That's a great quote.
So, for expedience sake, I know we talked about we'll have to figure out a mechanic for how to do his bombs and stuff, but what would you like me to roll for that?
Yeah, so anytime you're throwing something, it is technically a ranged attack.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
you could
that's...
talk me into or athletics. Unfortunately, I think both of those are not good for you.
Well, ranged is what, agility?
Yes.
Agility is not bad. I don't have any points actually in it, but agility, my base agility score is a 3.
Oh, that's not horrible.
So that's not terrible. That would be, I'm guessing, what, 2 green die? 3 green die? I don't know.
Difficulty's purple. It's 3 green, and it's going to be a 2 purple. What's up, Steve? You keep looking like you want to talk.
I just wanted to give you the results on my roll.
Let me get his roll set up, and then we'll hear your roll. So,
Okay.
Steve, you have how many ranks in alchemy?
I have 1 rank in alchemy.
So take 1 bonus to kind of represent that you did a good job making this potion to better influence its outcome. So go ahead and roll that.
3 greens, a blue, and a 2 purple. Correct.
2 purple. Correct. All right. While that's happening, Karlax, what was the result of your roll to fling yourself at another Calaris flyer? And you're going to succeed amazingly.
4 success and a threat.
What? Oh my goodness. All right. So you managed to land on this kind of reptilian bird that's just got these big wings and claws. The person on this bird was throwing magic spells around. And I think, unfortunately, you're going to land basically face to face with this rider. So you are basically between the rider and the head of the beast. You're facing backwards. They're facing forwards. And so you're going to be thrown through the air, kind of wheeling. Oh, what did I do? What did I do? Wham, you land right on this thing, and you're just like face to face with this random person. It is going to be a dwarf with this big beard shaved here in the middle, and the beard is kind of braided back up into the hair. And they are literally just throwing a spell at an Antilles rider. What do you do?
I punch him in the face.
Love it. Make a brawl check for me. Difficulty of melee checks is always 2 purple. And take a boost die because this person was not expecting this. And then Eric, get ready to make me a roll to try to capture the falling, because I can't say flying, Groth. So we'll say it's an average difficulty since you've given up the weight of Karlax. But let's... Oh, actually, no, because of what Barney did, you've also lost your tail. So go ahead and take 2 boost die. And make that roll.
All right.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Karlax, what'd you do?
3 success, 1 threat, and a triumph.
Love it. So the threat is you are definitely stuck sitting the wrong direction on this bird, but this dwarf just goes flying off, or reptile, excuse me, but this dwarf goes flying off. So I want you to think about what you want to do with that triumph. Then Kulweg, What was the result of your roll?
Not good. 0 success. I'm sorry, 1 failure and 3 advantage.
Awesome. So you're not going to hit the High Inquisitor, but we're going to say this still is going to be able to hit minions and do something. With 3 advantages, I'll let you decide what that is. I think you said you wanted to kind of like disorient or retain or kind of hinder. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I was thinking it was like a sticky trap.
Perfect.
Like something to make maybe either one or a group of people just sort of stand still for a minute, making them easier to hit.
Yeah, 100%. So I think what happens is, because at this point, I'm seeing kind of 2 forces that are kind of in combat on this deck of the ship. So they're constantly pushing in. So I think your trap hits, this kind of like goo erupts out of it. Have you guys ever seen those like chemical experiments where they drop something? So that kind of like happens from this potion, and it just like kind of takes over a chunk of the Claire soldiers. But it's also basically blocking soldiers from getting to the Antilles. So it's letting them have a little bit of a reprieve as well, letting them catch their breath. Awesome. So that's going to give their side a bonus. All right. So we're going to let Eric make their roll. But then I'm going to do a mass combat roll to see how this stuff is going on the deck of that ship.
So I have 2 thoughts for the triumph, if you're ready for that. One of which might affect
let's
your
let
roll.
Eric roll real quick because he's been trying to roll for like 20 minutes, and then we'll hear your triumph. So Eric, what do you got for me?
I too had 1 failure and 3 advantage. So while I didn't actually catch Groth, in the fumbling to try to catch him, I'm going to use those advantage that at least he's now falling in the proper direction in the area of the ship, and he will land in that sticky stuff that is going to cushion his fall and not cause him harm.
100%. Yeah, so I think you're like maneuvering. You're not able to quite catch him. Instead, your bat like flicks him with a wing, sending him flying at the ship. Hits this sticky stuff. You're kind of on top of it looking down. We now have 2 PCs actually on the deck of the ship. I am going to make a mass combat roll to see kind of how this battle is progressing. Okay. So because of the interventions of this sticky foam, the Antilles forces actually rally and are able to start pushing back the ground troops. But unfortunately, the air combat is not going in the right direction. The 2 that were hit by the paint have kind of brushed themselves off, and you can tell that they're really angry that their dwarf friend was thrown off. And so more of the Antilles flyers are being pushed out of the sky. Triumph, what do you got for me?
Okay. So, 1, I was thinking that the dwarf could land on one of the Inquisitors.
Okay.
Or we happen to be in a spot where Karlax can just sort of grab this reptile thing's tail and kind of upend the thing and use it to just sort of drop nicely onto the ship he was aiming for in the first place.
Oh, yeah, we can say your triumph lets you just kind of, you throw the dwarf off one way, you go the other, and you end up on the ship.
Leans forward, grabs the tail, flips over, and as the thing kind of upends and starts.
Perfect.
You just sort of plunk. Okay.
Love it.
That device will need recalibrated.
Perfect. Awesome. So we now have 3 PCs actually on the ship. Love it. All right. So the combat continues to swell. You see the Antilles troops are slowly getting worn down, especially as their flyers are becoming less numerous. They're taking more shots from the flyers into the melee, and the 2 other destroyers continue to hammer the heavy cruiser. You see a lot of its crystals starting to get overwhelmed. They're starting to get too much strain, especially Karlax, as well as Kulweg, who are more familiar with crystal machinery, can tell that the strain on this heavy cruiser is getting pushed to the limits. All right, so each player now is going to get an action to kind of combat this. So does anybody have any ideas what they want to try to do to influence this mass combat roll that's going to be happening?
So I feel like Karlax would, like you said, immediately kind of sense that this cruiser is not doing well. And is there some sort of area where he can go to try and mechanically alleviate some of that strain on the vessel?
Hell yeah. So yes. So you don't need to be specific, Steve. You can tell me kind of the broad concept of what you want to do. So you want to go and try to help fortify the ship's systems.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think that's
precisely it.
awesome. I think that probably your character would know where the engine room is on one of these ships. You guys are friends with Antilles. You have an Antilles design ship. So you can try to make your way through the combat to get to the engine room, which is probably under attack.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kulweg would go with him to try and assist in any way he can.
Love it. So why don't we have Kulweg, or why don't we guys have you make a joint check to see how you do navigating and kind of fighting your way to the engine room. Now you can do this with skullduggery because you're trying to like sneak your way through. We could have you guys stealth, trying to just not be noticed. Maybe Kulweg has a weird potion. Maybe you just want to beat your way through with combat. How would you guys go about getting to the engine room together?
Groth has a great axe.
Has a great axe? Yeah, but Groth got stuck with some wings. Can't hold a great axe.
I mean, being as the engine room is more my thing, do you want to kind of narrate this part of it, Steve?
I can, but you can't stealth, and I can.
Well, sure, but your character could maybe help like lead him through a way that's out of the way of combat. It's not necessarily going unnoticed. So you can decide how you want to get there.
You could be spotting the route, so to speak.
Yeah, I think Kulweg's gonna go. I'll scout us a path and sort of take off and stealth his way to the bowels of this ship, trying to get a safe path to guide him through.
Got it. So I think we're going to say this is an average difficulty because since you're not actually like fighting anyone and you're not wearing the uniforms of either side, it's kind of easy to go unnoticed. But there are so many people in your way, it's going to be a setback just because it's difficult to actually find a path to navigate.
Okay. So average difficulty. Stealth is agility.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be 2 and a 1. You said a setback, and then average difficulty, so 2 purples.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes. Oh, God. 1 failure and 2 advantage.
All right. So you guys are going to be kind of impeded in your process there. What does that look like?
Maybe the lower decks are on fire.
Oh, heck yeah, they are. And I think there might be some fighting in the entrance to the engine room. So you guys, there's this fire, there's this pressure. And I think what we're going to say is because of those advantages, you still get to the engine room, but you're not in it. You have to get your way through these people. So I think this is actually a great moment then for Karlax. Do you want to maybe try to fight your way into the engine room, or how do you want to get past, either go through fire or go through kind of a combat situation?
I'm thinking Karlax just kind of looks and like grabs some sort of long pole. I'm sure there's something around it. I'm thinking of like a pipe or a wooden post type thing, and just sort of uses it as like a push pole, like broadly, or sort of a lever to sort of, because I'm envisioning like this combat happening in this hallway. We're kind of up against the wall, and so he just grabs this bar and like wedges them out of the way to allow us access to the doorway we need.
All right, I'm going to flip a story point just because that's going to be hard to maneuver a big pole in a tiny corridor. So that's going to be a brawl check. We will give you 2 boosts for using this object, but your difficulty is going to be a red and a purple.
Okay, I like that.
Right. Perry. Sorry, I need to start using people's character names. Barney,
Yes.
Prag, and Groth. Do you guys have ideas of what you might want to do?
I do.
I have
Perfect.
a straight wash.
So we're gonna double down. So you get to upgrade each side once. So switch out a green for a yellow and a purple for a red, and re-roll. And Prang is going to tell us what they are doing.
So after I bat, no pun intended, Groth onto the deck, I'm going to lean back, to Barney and just say, "This is your stop. Get ready to jump."
I wasn't expecting to leave you so
Okay.
soon, but we must part ways.
I kind of give him the elbow to help him off.
Didn't we say he's tied to you or something?
He was tied to he was like had like a rope holding on like the back of my saddle.
Oh, I thought it was
Basically-
tied to you, literally.
No,
like,
no.
He's gonna go flying. You're after him.
No.
I was doing one of those just a choked up piece of rope that tied
Got it.
that was tied to the
Sorry.
saddle.
So I'm going to do a
Got it.
flyby, drop him off on the deck. But what I really want to do is I want to. You said there's a flail and a staff, right, on the big bads that they're using.
Yeah.
I want to do a flyby that tries to entangle the flail into the staff if they're that close.
They are not that close, but that's cool. So we'll say you can do it.
Okay.
I don't know what role that is, though.
Is it a riding check? Because I'm trying to use my bat to do it.
I
Like
mean,
with his feet.
sure. Let's say that.
I'm sure it'll be extremely difficult.
What I'm gonna say is this: if you're just trying to like disrupt these guys, it's gonna be average. If you are trying to do more than just kind of like throw them off, it's gonna get a lot harder than that. So I'm gonna kind of say it depends a little bit on like what your initial goal is.
I'm just trying to disrupt what they are doing currently.
Perfect. And we'll just say an average fly check, but you are going to have 2 setback because these people are in the middle of combat. So you're basically having to like buzz a combat
Yep, that makes sense.
while avoiding other flyers.
Let's see. Those cancel. Those cancel. 1 failure, 1 advantage.
Man, I'm trying to give you guys easy checks. So you are not able to disrupt them, but you still have a positive outcome to flying close to combat. Why don't we say that Barry manages to land on this ship because you go into buzz as you knock him off, if that works for you?
Yeah.
Perfect. So Barry actually lands in a somewhat opportune place. So real quick, Karlax, what was your dice roll results?
1 success, 3 advantage on the double.
Love it. So you basically, like tear this beam out of the ship and just go whop. And you knock aside this whole force of Calaris. You see a couple beleaguered Antilles soldiers that were holding the door, and they cheer you as you kind of run into the engine room. So you guys aren't going to be able to make any checks in the engine room this turn, but next turn, then because you're kind of taking over, more Antilles can go fight, buying you more time, and you've kind of subdued some of those invaders. All right, cool. So now Groth or Barney, what are you guys doing?
Well, I imagine I'm currently falling into the battlefield below.
Yes, because of Prang's roll, you are going to successfully hit the battlefield in a preferable location for you, aka you can kind of choose where you land.
I will land towards anyone that's an ally.
Got it. So you're going to be able to land towards the back of the Antilles group, or you can land near Groth.
I'll land near Groth.
Got it. So Groth kind of landed on top of this like sticky grenade that then hardened. So it's kind of standing up a little bit above the combat. Still is getting some kind of like ranged attacks, but isn't really easy to get a melee attack too. So I think you kind of land next to Groth, kind of like reaches back and like pulls you in, keeps you from falling over the edge. And what are you guys doing?
Can I cancel my spell? So I actually have.
Yes. Yeah, you can.
Then I would pull out my great axe. So I've got that for defense, and start trying to figure out who our first target is.
Cool. So do you want to go for more of the minions, kind of like reducing the pressure of numbers, or do you want to try to go after one of the Inquisitors who are kind of the big bads in this scene? And I'm going to be very upfront with you. You are not meant to be able to take on one of these by yourself. These are very powerful individuals.
Minions it is.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll second that.
you can YOLO.
That sounds like a death trap.
Or a really awesome start to a story. Cool. So these are basically minion groups. So it's a melee combat. They don't have defense. It's going to be 2 purple versus. I can't remember if yours is a heavy melee because I think it's a 2-handed axe.
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah. So go ahead and make your melee attack. Barney, what are you doing?
I'm gonna whip out my bow and arrow and start taking pot shots at people.
Perfect. Inquisitor or minions?
Oh, absolutely minions. I'm not that brave.
Yeah, so I think we see Barney kind of like pull out some arrows and like push them into the top of this grenade, and is just like taking out some of the archers, some of the healers. You know, you're kind of picking out those people of interest in the background, while Groth kind of just like hits the battlefield. Cool. So you're going to be shooting at short range, so it's going to be 1 purple.
Okay. Let's see here. So
I had 1 success because my 2 advantage got canceled out.
I'm sorry, say that again. You have 1 success?
1 success. I had 2 advantage, but then they got canceled out by 1 of the dice. And 2 dice were blank. So
Rude. All right. So your axe is going to be doing your axe's base damage plus your strength plus your number of successes. So how much damage are you doing?
3 brawn plus 4 from the axe and 1 from the success, so 8.
Nice. Yeah. So I think you kind of just like jump off and you just like lead with your axe. So you're just scything through a bunch of these troops. You know, you're kind of more like holding almost the head of the axe because you don't have a lot of room to do some big swings. And you just like hit these minions like a bowling ball, cutting down 2 and injuring a 3rd.
And if they have any armor, I'm piercing 2. So
Oh, all right. You killed 3 of them because I don't feel like figuring out their actual stuff. That's actually more damage than probably should happen, but it's cool. So yeah, you just kind of hit the ground, and some Antilles forces actually like step up behind you and start supporting you, kind of like keeping them off your back as you're just kind of mowing into some of these Caleris minions.
Sounds good.
All right, Barney, you are just shooting arrows into the backfield. What are we doing?
One advantage, 1 failure.
Right. So you are not hitting the thing you want to hit, but you are hitting something that helps out. And what is that thing?
I think that I'm hitting just by pure accident. I'm hitting some of the like munition boxes.
Oh,
okay. That the opponents are using.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
And causing a spark to kind of create some havoc.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like killing anyone, but it's definitely causing like concussive things.
It's a distraction.
You're very much disrupting their backfield. I love it. Okay. So I think everyone is gone at this point. So that's another mass combat roll. Okay. Oof. That is a lot of setbacks, but a lot of successes. All right. So your guys' impact to the combat, you see that the tide is actually starting to turn in Antilles' favor. A bunch of their minions are being pushed back. You see some of the Antilles heroes. You see the elf with the fire sword is just mowing through people. There is a cat person with a bow, and their arrows are actually exploding on impact. They seem to have some kind of like crystal tipped arrows that are just doing work. But the magic of the Caleris Inquisitors is definitely still paying a toll. It's still by no means a clear fight on your side, but you guys are definitely gaining ground. Unfortunately, at this point, Caleris' forces are overwhelming the Flyers, and they are starting to have more of an impact on the battle itself, though. All right, we're starting over again. So, who knows what their character is going to be doing at this point in the combat?
More swingy.
Basically same check then. Hagan, you can go ahead and roll that for me and we'll get back to you the results. Sorry, I shouldn't have named 2 things Caleris. Sorry, my cat is deciding that it needs to knock over stuff. All right, Karlax, what are you doing in the engine room?
So looking over things quickly, going to sort of evaluate what needs done, look at Kulweg, like, you, hold that lever there and this one over here, and I'm going to go do these things over here, and proceed to like reroute some cables or whatever to alleviate things, reroute power.
Yeah, for sure. I think you probably have like a multi-tool kit on yourself that's like portable. So give yourself a boost die. What you are basically trying to do is shore up the systems that are getting overloaded. So basically these ships have power crystals that help augment the other crystals needed for flying, whether it's the cannons, it's the propulsion, the lift, the shield crystals. And so all of those things take power. And so the system, though, can get overwhelmed. Same way like in Star Wars, ships have strain. That's basically what we're dealing with here. So this ship is got tougher armor. The destroyers have trouble doing enough damage to it. That's why they crashed into it to invade it. But they can wear down its system strain. So we're looking at basically making a mechanics check with a boost die. And we're going to say that it is an average difficulty.
So that's 2, correct?
That is 2.
Okay. That cancel one of those. So 2 success and 2 advantage.
Oh, love it. So you basically go over to the main power crystal that's kind of sit in the center, and you just see smoke kind of coming off of it. You see a bunch of relays have just been displaced, and you're able to come over, and you're basically able to start realigning some of the stuff that's been disrupted by combat. And you see, zoop, and then the kind of the noise of the crystal, you probably can like kind of tell the tuning of it. It goes from this kind of like out of sync, like kind of annoying, to almost like a better hum, and you see the smoke kind of stop and reduce, and you see the systems functioning a little better. What do you want the advantages to be?
Why
don't you pick a specific? Sorry, go ahead if you have an idea.
Is there a way he could trigger some sort of pulse that would say give a setback to the Kalaris flyers?
Yeah, for sure. Love that. So you find a way to kind of like influence the shielding that kind of exists around the ship. Normally it's only able to block other crystal based weapons coming in, so like arrows and people can go through it, but if someone shot a cannon at it, which is a magic cannon, it would block that. So you're able to find a way to kind of like do a discharge of the shield. That's really cool. Why don't you make me another mechanics check with difficulty? We're gonna say it's hard, but give yourself 2 boost die for your advantages. That's awesome.
Okay.
While you're rolling that, Kulweg, what are you doing in the engine room?
I think basically just whatever he's telling me to do.
Gotcha. So your character does have ranks in runes, right?
Yes.
Got it. Did you take the talent for that, or did you take the class for that?
I think it's a class skill.
Cool. Okay. So there are a lot of runes.
I'm sorry, it's a career skill. I mean,
yeah, sorry, class, career. Those are synonyms in my brain. So there are a lot of crystals around you that you could try to cast a magic spell through if you wanted to. So I just want to acknowledge that option for you.
Okay.
If that's not interesting for you, we don't have to go that route.
No, let's try and do that, except I'm not sure what my options are as far as that. Like,
gotcha. So the basic way that magic works in Genesys is you more have types of spells that you then smorgasbord into what you want. So for your character's specific group, using the crystal shards to cast spells, you're able to do attacks, you're able to do augment, you're able to do barrier, you're able to do curses. These basically break down into attack is doing damage to someone, augment is basically improving the functionality typically of an ally, barrier is literally a defense against, and then curse is basically inhibiting or reducing functionality of a bad guy.
okay.
Augment and curse are probably the most like overpowered things in the game if you can get them on and do them well. But in
why don't I propose I try to use the runes that are here and make a barrier around the ship to help protect from more onslaught damage.
Perfect. So maybe you're augmenting the shields of the ship that would help protect it against the ongoing bombardments from the Kalaris destroyers. They're kind of following behind, attacking the cruiser. Perfect.
Sure.
So we are going to say that you're basically going to touch like the main shield crystal and cast a spell through it. So that is going to be, let's say that's going to be a hard check.
Okay.
What'd you roll, Steve?
So I have no success or failure, but 3 advantage.
Perfect. So I think, go ahead. Do you know what you want to do with that?
I was thinking, is there a way that could either maybe like, I feel like it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, but given what Kulweg is trying to do, could it, I feel like it more than one boost, worth more than one boost, but probably not a full upgrade.
Sure. Yeah. So take 3 boost die, Kulweg.
Okay. And you said that's a hard check?
Yeah, that's a tough
So-
check.
3 purple?
3 purple. And remember, casting spells is 2 strain.
2 strain. All right. I'll mark
And
that.
technically, just remember, magic in this system is very punishing. So every threat as actually can be an additional 2 strain. But again, this is meant to be more of like learning your character session. So we're being very loose. We'll start as we get more comfortable being a little more specific with the rules.
All right. 2 success and an advantage.
Love it. Yeah, so suddenly the tweaks that are happening on the power core free up a bunch of energy that you're able to focus into this shield rune crystal, and suddenly the shield around the ship just kind of like solidifies, while also, because of that advantage, having like a little bit of a disorienting effect on the Colaris flyers, so they are less effective. As well as now the destroyers that are chasing after the ship and attacking it, their weapons are less effective as well. So that's a pretty major boon for this fight. All right, cool. Next up, we have Prang, we have Groth, and we have Barney. What are you guys doing?
I said earlier I was going to be swinging more, trying to clear up more guys, and I got a success and an advantage this time.
You said a success and advantage. You're basically continuing just kind of mowing through groups more until it's sort of kind of coming in to support you and back you up. Perfect.
And I'll toss the advantage his way.
Love it. So one particular kind of brute comes in. He's carrying this big hammer, and he kind of does the neck crack, and he like picks it up and goes to the attack, and you just gut him before he even like swings, and you just kind of keep making your way through the battlefield. Barney, what are you doing?
I think what I want to do is I can use verse magic to curse, right?
Oh, you have verse?
I believe so, yeah.
I think it's a talent you have to get.
For whatever reason, it was a career skill.
Oh, then it's a career skill.
I don't know.
Then you have it.
That could just be me making my character wrong, but
Go for it.
anyway.
I was going to try to get you to take verse anyways, so I mean, it was just a matter of time before you ended up with it.
Hey? Let's see. I have no idea exactly how to use the magic in this way.
You haven't told us what way that is, so it's hard for me to provide support.
You know what? I'm going to. I want to damage the enemy's morale. You know, in some way, and then like, or like give them a debuff. You know.
Okay, so that's going to be a curse. So one of the things I'm going to start kind of being nitpicky about is I do want us to start kind of role playing a little bit how we're doing.
I will.
This stuff.
Oh, I will.
So how is your character doing magic or music based magic? Are you singing? Are you playing an instrument? How does your character kind of tap into this?
Singing filthy limericks about their mother.
You know, I could sing. Yeah, I'll do by song. You know.
Cool. So I think there is some like hand and movement. So I think you kind of almost do like a little bit of a dance while you're singing, and it's how you cast the music or cast the spell too.
Yeah, to keep the rhythm.
Exactly. So you are going to be doing a average difficulty. This isn't exactly right, so just roll with it. Average difficulty verse check.
Okay.
So what's your rank in verse?
I only have one rank in verse.
Gotcha.
So
you just have to have a rank to cast it. So that was kind of more of the question.
Yeah.
So you're good to go. Cool. So two purple.
And it's presence, right?
Presence for verse, correct.
Excellent. Okay. Oh Lord, 5 successes, 1 threat.
All right, so you are taking 4 strain for casting a
Okay.
spell in that threat. So your character is up. You're kind of doing the shuffling song. You feel this magic kind of building, and just as you kind of hit the conclusion, wham! This big kind of just cascade of like almost off reverb music kind of like resonates out through the minions, and you see all of them starting to move just a little bit slower. They're a little bit more sluggish in their combat.
Right on.
Perfect.
Actually, I was gonna roll first and then do the performance as the roll.
Oh, do the
suggests.
performance then.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm thinking. Oh, what was our side called again? I'm so sorry.
Our what?
Antilles, right?
Antilles.
Antilles will not yield. Antilles will not yield. The words I speak will fall on ears that will be dead soon.
And
Improvised.
you get a story point back for that, my good sir. I am not above bribing you guys with story points for good RP moments, just to be clear.
I'll keep singing and doing improv. I don't mind, especially if they gives me points. But yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Love it. And you see both kind of like the bolstering of the Antilles fighters as well as the kind of the demoralization of the Karlax troops. Go ahead, and I think Eric is the last one to go.
Yep. So Zarda and I are still flying around.
Yep.
And you said the air battle is not going well for Antilles side. Is that correct?
That's correct. They're just getting they're better, they're higher quality, but there's just so much more Karlax.
I'm going to try to take out some mounts of the Karlax side.
For sure.
So basically what I'm going to try to do is have shoot them with my bow from the back.
Yeah.
Specifically
totally.
the mount.
Okay. So you're probably at short range for a lot of these.
Yep.
So why don't you make me a ranged attack, and your ranks and ride are?
My ranks and ride is 1.
We'll give you 1 boost because you and your bat are kind of able to coordinate well.
All right. So you said short range, so it's easy.
1 purple.
Easy check, right?
Yep.
Okay. That is a crap load of blank dice. Wow. I have 1 threat.
Sir, I don't know how to say this to you nicely, but like I'm stacking dice in your favor, and you still can't get a success for me.
The boost die and 2 of my green die came up blank.
I can only help you out so much. I can only get you to the water. I can't make you drink.
I'm trying real hard here.
Very well. Yeah. So you're flying. You're kind of drawing the attention. You're keeping them off of the melee, but you're not able to take down many of the Karlax flyers. All right. Steve, how are you doing from a it's my bedtime perspective?
We should probably wrap up fairly soon, but I got another 15 minutes or so.
Sounds good. Oh, damn. Okay. That's very good. That's even better. Okay. So at this moment, you see the Karlax troops break. They can tell the shield has been reinforced. This additional troops are really starting to just drive them back. This is also the moment where the comet's tail comes flying out of the sky and stops level with the 2 destroyers that are chasing. They unlimber both sets of cannons, decimating one of the destroyers, injuring the other that begins to maneuver away. You see that the tide of this battle has turned, and has turned in your favor. But the 2 Inquisitors snap over. They see the arrival of the Comet's tail, and they see the change that you guys have all made to the ship. And you see the one with the flail that's been a little frothy, that's been a little overzealous, starts chanting, and you see fire starting to accumulate in its flail. And this fire glows bigger and bigger and bigger. And you see the other Inquisitor look at them with fear in their eyes. And you see the other Inquisitor start chanting a spell, and then they teleport off of the ship. Right before this giant fireball, it just consumes this Inquisitor, annihilates the space they're standing on, sundering this heavy cruiser, damaging it, leaving it to list and starting to fall apart. And I think that's where we'll end for tonight.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.